Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sharon Spurlock, the Senior Director of Family Education at the St. Louis Arc, and welcome to our weekly Q&A. We've got some amazing guests with us today, people that I've collaborated with for a long time in a lot of different areas around the arts and cultural institutions in St. Louis. My guests today, though, are here because we're all working towards a festibility, which is our Disability Pride Festival. It's in its 5th year, and it will be this October 5th, Saturday from 10 to 3. I'm going to start off with quick introductions from Emily and Joan. So Emily, can you tell us a little bit about your role in the community and also your role with Festibility?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sharon. My name is Emily Underwood. I'm with the Missouri History Museum. My title is Community Engagement Specialist. And what that means is that I do a lot of programs with all different kinds of communities and all different kinds of people. And Festibility is one of those that I work on. I'm also a member of the Festibility Board. And I love planning this event. I handle a lot of the logistics for the museum and making sure that we've made it a safe and welcoming and accessible space for a great day of fun.
Thank you, Emily. And Joan?
I'm so happy to be with everybody today. My name's Joan Lipkin, and I am the founder of the Disability Project, which is one of the earliest and longest running ensembles of people with disabilities in the country, and that we have performed for over 100,000 people, creating original work about the culture of disability. I'm also the founder of Dance the Vote, and very, very committed to making sure that people with disabilities have access to safe voting, because 31% of people in Missouri have a disability and are voters, and often experience a lot of challenges when they try to make that sacred right heard.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought up Dance the Vote. We're collaborators on that as well. And we're really happy to be a part of that event last week. And, two of my favorite things, dancing and voter engagement. What better can you have? Okay, so full disclosure, I'm going to participate as part of the panel today because I'm also on the Festibility Board, and I've been working with Emily on putting the whole program together. So I've been involved for a while, but I haven't been involved since the very beginning. And I'm hoping Emily can tell us a little bit about how Festibility came to be and what people can expect on Saturday, October 5th.
So Festibility as an annual event started in 2018. And we were approached by Jenna Baker and Meg Geiger, who had gotten together and come up with this concept of a day just really celebrating the disability community, fully accessible day full of programs and activities and performances. And they came to us at the History Museum in part because we had previously hosted an exhibit about accessibility history in Missouri and in St. Louis, disability history in St. Louis. And they thought perhaps we might be open to hosting it, and we certainly were. We really love to consider ourselves an inclusive space, a place that anybody can come and feel comfortable and welcome and see their own stories. So we were all about participating in this event. And we started, like I said, in 2018. We had a wonderful time. We had 2 events. And then, of course, COVID hit. So we did have to take a little bit of a hiatus in 2019 and 2020. I'm sorry, 2020 and 2021. But we were back in 2022 with a live event. So while we've been around for more than 5 years, this is our 5th event this year. And as Sharon said, it goes from 10 a.m. to 3. You're going to hear a little bit more about specific components of the event as we talk through in this webinar. But I can tell you that we're going to start with a Disability Pride March from the Visitor Center to the front North Plaza at the museum. We're going to have some performances by Variety Kids. We're going to have remarks by Alderman Rasheen Aldridge. We're going to have food trucks. We're going to have dancing. We're going to have some great performances. We have craft activities, resource tables, a sensory room. You can come and pet service dogs. We have a book giveaway and storytelling, and just so many fun things to engage people, really, I think, for any age and any interest.
Great overview. And you're right. I've been a guest at Festivality, and I've never been able to get to all the things that were so much fun for me. I think the last Festivality, I didn't get to go last year, but the year before, I was blown away by the fashion show that was a collaboration between Washington University and Special School District, where individual designers had created basically prom looks for each of the students that kind of represented their style, but also made it accessible for whatever they needed in terms of clothing. And it just was an area that I'd never really thought about. So to me, that's one of the things that happens at a Pride Festival. You get to see new things that you maybe never thought of about a culture. And disability, it has its own culture that we want to appreciate and enjoy. So it is really a fun event. I'm going to take the mic for a minute just because I'm so proud the St. Louis ARC Self-Advocate Group has taken responsibility to lead the Pride March at the beginning of the festival and over the last 3 years. It was something that our advocates felt really strongly about. Originally, they wanted to do a 5K, and we kind of worked into this idea of a Pride March because that's such an important part of many community celebrations. So if you come to Festivality, the beginning of the day, we're going to start off at 10 a.m. taking to the streets with a very short but very powerful walk from the visitor center to the History Museum. And we want everyone to come and represent your authentic self. So bring what makes you feel proud, dress in a way that makes you feel great, bring signs, plan to sing. We're hoping to have a band lead us. So, one day I imagine it being a great big event with floats, but for right now, we got to bring our own energy. So plan to come to the Pride March. And then shortly following that, we're going to be having a storytelling segment, both for children and adults. So Joan, maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, thanks, Sharon. And, I also want to say that the Pride March includes rolling. You can walk, you can roll, whatever your personal mode of transportation is, that locomotion is. This is the book that I'm going to be reading. We have found, it's called Maybe, a story about the endless potential in all of us. It's really beautiful. Last year we had Rock What You Got by Aja Lastar Owens. We have found that the storytelling segment where we share a picture book and we read a text has been very popular. It's so interesting, Sharon and Emily, we begin to see what it is that people respond to, because we may think we know, but we don't necessarily know. People love the storytelling, people of all ages, and they also love being given their very own book. So Becky Galambos has been working really hard, and every single person who wants one is going to get a book. But if I can just take a moment and talk a little bit about positivity and the messages in these books. So this is a very positive message, a story about the endless potential in all of us. We came up with, the Disability Project came up with this new idea this year that we are calling the Festi Cabaret, because Sharon, I know Sharon is a singer with Karis and has sung for a very long time. And she and I both love music and dancing. And so under the direction of Mary Keller, who is the artistic director of Allegro, which is another community-based chorus, we're going to have a number of different singers who are going to sing Randy Rockaman, Donna O'Riordan, Patrick Mooney, Anna Blair, and all of the songs are either things that we know or they're things that are really upbeat, like, My Favorite Things and Just One Person, and of course the Rainbow Connection, right? And Put a Little Love in Your Heart. And we're also going to have some other singers too that will be joining us. And I just think this is what we need right now, is that we need a positive message. And last year that was very much of our focus too, because, a lot of times when we think about folks with disabilities, we tend to think about what are their economic challenges or their transportation challenges or their physical challenges in terms of access. But we don't necessarily talk about mental health and how important it is for all of us, both folks with disabilities, families that have children and youth and partners with disabilities, to try to think about what is really positive about our lives and what are the gifts that we bring, right?
Yeah.
So I am really excited about this Festi Cabaret. I think we're really going to enjoy it, and maybe we'll be joining in on some of the choruses. So that's just some of the stuff, but I have to say, I love this event. I am involved with many events. This is
I
really
think
my
any
favorite.
culture has both the things that are positive and then the things you fight for, you know,
Yes.
and I think both of those things tend to come out in the course of the day with festibility. But I do think that, I mean, the whole point is pride. So finding those things that do make you feel good about yourself is an absolutely integral part of this. And I think maybe that's why you've discovered that the books resonate with people, because there's representation. If you don't see yourself in a book, if you don't see yourself on stage singing, if you don't see yourself as an artist, then that's narrows your ideas of what your opportunities and possibilities are. And I think that's a big part of what this is. I don't want to leave yet the book reading, because I know Sean Gold has just today released his newest book, which will also be featured. Emily, can you talk a little bit about his book?
Yeah, so he has a new book. Sean has is a published author, but he's releasing his first really young children's book. So it's called The ABCs of Disability. And it literally goes through an alphabet. Really, I think just to get the youngest readers, even pre-literate children, comfortable with concepts around disability and talking about disability. So he's going to share his book with us during that story time as well, which will happen indoors in the morning around 11 o'clock. So definitely want to check that out. And of course, the book will be available for purchase at the event as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that some of the activities are inside and some are outside. So, well, that is one of the ways we think about accommodation with this festival, is making sure that people with medical issues who might struggle if the weather remains unseasonably warm like this, that's why we've moved the festival to October, that we're trying to make sure that everybody is comfortable in the space and has what they need. Emily, the History Museum is known for how diligent you've been about thinking about accessibility in all ways. Can you talk about other ways that we're making sure this festival not only meets people's accessibility needs, but also demonstrates some of the ways the world becomes more accessible to people with disabilities? I'm thinking about Beep Ball all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, Beep Ball is definitely one of the activities we have that day. Mind's Eye provides a Beep Ball sort of a demonstration, and you can have a chance to try it out yourself if you're unfamiliar with beep ball. It is very similar to baseball, but the ball actually does make a sound, so you can track it as it comes to you and you're ready to hit it. So we will have that outside. All of the performances and sort of dance party atmosphere will be outside, as will the food trucks. Speaking of accessibility efforts, at the food trucks, we will have volunteers who will be there to help assist with food orders, picking orders up, things like that if needed. So that's one way that we try to make sure everyone has access to all of the great things we have at this event. Inside, we have resource tables, our craft activities, the storytelling, all of that kind of thing. And then one thing I do want to mention, and actually Sharon, this is also through St. Louis ARC, so thank you so much for that. But we do have a sensory room set up. So the museum actually does have a sensory room all year round, every day, but it is small. So you can find that anytime you're in the museum. If you need a space to just take a breather, get a break from all the sensory stimulation, you are absolutely welcome to use our sensory room on the lower level. But for Festibility, we do recognize that there are perhaps more people that may want to take advantage of a space like that. And so St. Louis ARC has come in this year, and they are setting up our Schnucks classroom on the main level as a sensory space, which is really nice. It's a nice way for people, like I said, just to get a break from, if you're feeling a little overstimulated, you just need a quiet moment to kind of collect yourself. That's the space to do it. So we're always happy to offer that. And then we will offer an access tour of one of our exhibits. We'll have, of course, all of the resource tables are there to help connect you with the resources about finances, about education, about arts and activities and things you can participate in for members of the disability community. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. Sharon, did I miss any major?
I know that you've done some work with the audio and captioning and all that stuff as well,
Yeah,
with interpreters.
we do have interpretation for all of our performances, and and for storytelling as well. And then we do have live captioning also that will be on the main stage. So there'll be monitors on both corners of the stage that you'll be able to follow along.
Fantastic. Joan?
Thank you.
Yes, so I wanted just to return for a moment to voting, if I might, because this is something that I think is a topic that is both for children and youth, any teenagers and young adults, and also for parents. And that idea is that we can have, if people want, they can decorate signs that say future voter. And they can have their photo taken against a really beautiful backdrop. That is a project that we do with the St. Louis Public Library. And then they get a copy of that photo, and they also get information. Now, I want to be very clear that we're nonpartisan. We are not telling people how to vote. We are requesting and suggesting that they really engage themselves with this absolutely sacred right that many people have made sacrifices for and actually have given their lives. And the reason why it's really important that I'm talking about it now is that October 5th is just a few days before the deadline for registration. The deadline for registration in St. Louis to vote, not the day of voting. The day of voting is November 5th, unless you do an absentee ballot, which a lot of times folks with disabilities might want to avail themselves to. But the deadline for registration is October 9th, and you need to have a government issued photo ID. So we want to make sure that you have everything you need.
And I love the fact that, I mean, again, this is a community-wide event. We have the library and Dance the Vote coming together at this festival so that people are thinking about their voting rights while they're there. We've got arts organizations coming to say, you're welcome here. Here's how you can come to our performances and come see an opera, or how we can use this service that's provided by this organization. So it's really neat to see that. And I've always thought it was just so thoughtful how many ways people look at accessibility. Before we leave this topic, I just want Emily to take 1 second and talk about how gorgeous and accessible the front of the building is now.
It really is. Thank you for mentioning that, Sharon. I really appreciate that because that is a new feature. We just opened last spring, our new North Plaza. So if you had been to the museum before and you were out on the North Plaza, you would have known that there were steps that went around the fountain area. Those have been completely removed. Everything's been regraded. Everything is very accessible now, including our new sort of stage platform that extends off the front of the building, which makes it much easier for us to accommodate performers and folks who are participating in the event. If they want to be on stage and be part of a dance party, they can just head right out there. It's really easy.
Beautiful. So when I talk to people with disabilities about coming out to events, often transportation and parking is a nightmare, and it just puts them off because they know that's going to be such a struggle. And we've worked pretty hard this year on focusing on that. I know that we've got some shuttle services happening with Paraquad, and we're working with Metro to promote how to get to the event safely. What about parking, Emily?
So parking is always a big challenge at the museum. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. That is our number one issue. We do have lots on either side of the museum. One lot will be open for accessible parking only. So we will have a fully accessible lot on one side. The other side will have some parking, but it's also where we have to put food trucks. So that it's a little more limited. But as you said, Sharon, we will have some shuttle service. We're working with Paraquad to set that up. So that will be in what they call the twin lots, which is the large parking lot right next to the tennis courts across from the visitor center. So if you park there, we'll have a location where you can wait for a shuttle that will take you right around to the front of the museum.
Fantastic. And one of my roles for Festibility is organizing volunteers. So we're always really conscientious about safety. There's volunteers that help to make sure people can cross the street safely. There's volunteers to help answer questions if your vision is limited, to make sure you can find where it is that you want to go within the festival. So lots and lots of support, a lot of people that have information for you available all over the grounds when you come to this event. So please don't hesitate to come, because we're going to make sure that you are comfortable and you are welcomed. Let's just kind of back out and talk about anything that we haven't talked about Festibility that you think is exciting, that you want people to know about. Joan, you've brought stuff up a couple times. I don't know if there's another area that you'd like to focus on, or should I bounce to Emily while you think about it?
No, I have an idea. I have
What a
something.
surprise.
Right. I have an idea. Imagine that. But what I want to say is that this is such a great event. It's a special event. It is the largest cultural festival for people with disabilities and their families in the whole state. We've had as many as 3,000 people come through. They don't tend to be there all clustered. Don't get scared. They don't tend to be all there at the same time, but they'll come in for a while, or they'll leave. This is a specific event. It is about our celebrating ourselves and our and allies for people with disabilities. So I really want everybody to come. And if it's a gorgeous day, come inside for a while or stay outside and watch the performers, right? All these different organizations, so many organizations. May I just mention a few of them? Is
Sure.
that okay? Paraquad, different dynamics, they do drumming. And Mind's Eye with the ball, right? And us, of course, that Uppity Theater Company, the Disability Project with the St. Louis Public Library, the Starkloff Disability Institute, the St. Louis Office on the Disabled, Achilles International, Deaf Inc., Variety, of course, which does such wonderful performances with children and youth, the Society for the Blind and Visually Impaired, St. Louis ARC, the Miriam School and Learning Center, St. Louis Community College, and Great River Greenways. I'm just going to mention a few more. And the reason I'm doing this is that this is to emphasize how important this organization is, this endeavor, and how important this particular day is. All these places would not be coming together to
Mhm.
table and to volunteer and to be there if it was not the place that we want to have a big celebration for folks. Missouri Mentor, UMSL, the Missouri School for the Blind, Special School District, Easter Seals, Height Hall Law, which does a lot of, deals a lot around issues in the law for people with disabilities. I'm excited that Opera Theater St. Louis is going to be there. Even the AAA Auto Club of Missouri and the Firefly Supported Living and Employment Services. If you need information, you don't have to just get on the phone and be trying to Google it. You can probably get whatever information you are looking for if you come, and you're going to have wonderful entertainment. And I got to say, those food trucks are looking very good.
They are looking good, and we're
I know.
accommodating everybody there, not only with helping you place your order and get your food to a table, but everybody's dietary considerations have been considered. So I think it's going to be really amazing. I'm going to have Emily wrap us up, but I want to say, Joan, I think you really, I like what you had to say, because I think we are shifting where we are in the St. Louis community, where instead of disability organizations making sure that everything is in place for people with disabilities, I can really feel and see the change where other organizations, community-based organizations, have recognized that people with disabilities are part of their community, and they are wanting to make their space accessible to everybody. They're wanting to make sure that that 31% of our population knows that they're welcome there. And I don't think that's always been the case. So
No.
that's one more thing for us to really celebrate, is people are coming in and telling you, I care about you. I want you to connect with us. All right, Emily, we have talked till almost the end, so I'm going to let you have all the wrap up time.
Wow, well, I want to first thank you, Joan, for mentioning those because the organizations, because that was something I also wanted to give a shout out to all the wonderful organizations that are tabling and providing activities. Artists First is setting up the art room downstairs. Um, and as you heard, that's a mix of organizations that are very much centered and in their work towards the disability community, but also organizations like Opera Theater St. Louis and Great Rivers Greenway that have a lot to offer, but you maybe wouldn't think of them initially, right? They're kind of different to have there. So I'm very excited that they're all coming. You mentioned the food trucks, so I want to give a shout out to them also. We will have Zaki food truck, which has some amazing Jordanian food. We will also have the This and That Eatery and the Boot Heel Boys. And Zaki food truck actually has 2 trucks, and one of them has like coffee and milkshakes, like a baklava milkshake, things like that. So it's pretty tasty, pretty fun. So there's plenty of good food to enjoy. And then I also wanted to make sure to mention, we talked about the Festi Cabaret. We also have another performance that I want to make sure we say in this webinar. So we also are going to have a performance by Sequig. He is a young man who is a rapper. He also has autism and he raps about a lot of things, but one of the things he raps about is his experience being a person with autism and how, what that has been like for him in school and just in life growing up. So I'm really excited that he's going to perform with us. He'll be there at 12:30 and I'm really looking forward to that one. And I guess I just wanted to say in general, you know, you were talking about making spaces and for people to feel comfortable and feel welcomed. And I think the thing that really sticks with me, I think this was the very first year we did the event. We had some comment cards and a little girl, she was, I honestly, I think maybe 8 years old. And she wrote a comment that the whole day she didn't feel like anyone was looking at her in a strange way. And to me, that was the whole thing, right? It was to be a space where people can just be themselves, like just be yourself, enjoy what you enjoy, have what you need, not feel like it's an imposition to ask for something or not feel like anybody's thinking anything different about you, just there to enjoy and be yourself. And to me, that's just really at the heart of the event.
I can't add anything more to that. That's beautiful. Thank you both so much for being here today. I love this organization. I love this event so much. Get out there. You've been given the mission, October 5th, sometime between 10 and 3, but ideally right at that march at 10 a.m. Come and join us. We'll actually be setting up a little bit earlier in the visitor center for the march. Join us. It's going to be fun. Bring your family, bring your friends. Come and have a good time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.